What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're here with a somewhat of a mini showcase for the brand new 9th anniversary Sugo-Fest exclusive, Super Sugo-Fest exclusive, Luffy and Yamato. Now, this character is very interesting, and look, the fact that we don't have a lot of content to really play around with right now, it is hard to overall showcase this character. So we've got 3 different arenas that we're going to be having a look at in this video today. We've got Toadskii, Luffy, and also the Hawkins arena. And I'm just going to give you guys, a bit of a rundown once again of this unit and give my thoughts and opinions. So, of course, the big thing about this unit is the unit's captain ability. This captain ability is so crazy, right? So if you just look at the dual captain, which is what I will be showing on screen, like, there's lots to look at, like lots of cooldown for Strength Dex Quick, additional cooldown for Striker, Fighter, Free Spirit. You get an HP boost, a recovery boost, 6 times attack to Strength Dex Quick, Free Spirit. That is absurd. Also, 5.25 times attack to all other characters, lots of matching slots, obtain recovery slots with a perfect, 30% damage reduction, 10 turn bind removal. When you look at that captain, it looks phenomenal. However, one thing you do have to take into account is the solo captains. And the solo captains are actually a little bit awkward, I guess is the right word for it. Like, for Luffy, for example, he gives the -2 cooldown to Strength Dex Quick, but then he only gives -1 cooldown to Free Spirit and Fighter characters. So it means if you're running just, like, Strikers that aren't one of those other classes, they actually don't receive the cooldown, which is really strange. Also, he only gives a 5 times attack boost to Strength and Free Spirit, not the other colors or classes like the dual unit, and then he only gives 4.5 to everyone else. So that's, one thing you do have to take into consideration. And even with the Luffy solo captain, every time you knock out a character with Luffy himself, he gets like a +1 added to his super switch counter, which means that the way that you have to use this character, you have to really think about when you're actually using this unit, because if you kill something, and then it means you're going to get the wrong super switch, because you may want to switch into like Luffy for the super swap, but if you kill something, the switch gauge goes up in the wrong order. It's a whole mess. And it even goes to the flip side with Yamato, because Yamato only gives cooldown to Striker, Free Spirit. She doesn't give cooldown to Fighters, and she only gives the massive attack boost 5 times to Dex and Free Spirit, and everyone else gets a 4.5 times attack boost. So the multipliers in the solo captain are just super weird and wonky. And then, of course, with her captain, she only gets +1 added to her super switch gauge every time you take damage. So again, you have to be very careful in terms of how much damage you're doing, because you may want to super switch into Yamato, and you have to plan accordingly when you're going into content. So while this character is good and you can really use them effectively, sometimes you really need to take, honestly, a few minutes just to figure out how you're going to use your characters, how you're going to switch, just in order that you can get your super switch, because it's very vital for this character. So now, to discuss that super switch, we have the base switch effect, which removes their own paralysis, despair, and slotbind completely, which is good, but the fact that this character has the slotbind resistance potential ability is the most alarming and stupidest thing I've seen. Doesn't make any sense. Also changes their own slot through block into Wano, which is phenomenal, and then also gives a 1.5 times color affinity boost to Free Spirit for 1 turn. So it is annoying that you have this captain ability, and even the special in a sense, that, boosts these certain characters, but then the switch only gives color affinity to Free Spirit and not the colors that their captain's boosts. So obviously lots of issues there. But that 1.5 affinity boost can be overwritten, which is actually pretty cool. We don't have too many characters that can abuse that right now, but in the future, it could hold quite well. Then you have the super switch, which is 8 switches. But remember, as we discussed in the solo captains, that can obviously change. But their super switch is very important because it has the exact same abilities of the utility and the block slot changing into, or just guaranteed Wano slot, should we say. But then the color affinity is buffed to 2.5, again, only for Free Spirit for 1 turn. And then they become the dual unit for 3 turns, which is big. The fact that this unit can become that dual unit is crazy, crazy good, because now we can finally discuss this character's special. So the special of Luffy and Yamato is really only good when you're able to use their special in their dual form. The solo form and you use their special is kind of mid, all things considered, when you compare it to other Super Sugo-Fest exclusives. But of course, when you have them in their dual form and you're able to abuse it, it is a very strong ability. So you get -2 cooldown to all characters, and then Strength Dex Quick only receive a 3.25 orb boost for 2 turns. This is another thing that I'm very, very confused about. The fact that this character's captain boosts, colors and classes. Their switch is only for a class. Their special is only for colors. It's very mixed, and it definitely feels like you're supposed to use characters that are Strength Dex Quick that are also Free Spirit. So it's a very wonky type of kit, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. 80% damage reduction, which goes in their final tap, which we'll discuss in a moment, and then they change adjacent slots into Wano, but that does not go through block slots, unfortunately. But then the big thing and the most, and like honestly, the most anticipated component of this character special, being able to inflict 2 times increased damage taken to all enemies for 1 turn that goes through all status effects. That is crazy. There aren't too many characters that are able to do that, and characters that are able to do that typically don't give you a multiplier that high. So the 2 times increased damage taken through status is just the best component of this character's kit altogether. They furthermore say that if you have an orb boost and damage reduction when you launch the special, they extend the duration of your attack, orb, and chain locks by 1 turn. You're not really going to be, noticing that too much. It is cool that it's there, but that component really doesn't matter at all. So the big thing, is -2 cooldown, damage reduction, big orb boost, adjacent Wano, and 2 times increased damage through status effects. So, to be honest, the special isn't all that it's cracked up to be honest. It's good for sure, but you have to be in the dual form in order to get the most out of it. So of course, in a lot of content coming up, they're going to get their super switch gauge fully maxed when you start the quest, and it's going to make this character's kit obviously look really good during this anniversary period. But I am a little concerned that after this anniversary has concluded, I don't know how often people are going to go out of their way to utilize a character such as this, just because of how annoying it is to use. And finally, let's discuss the final tap, because this is another component of the character that I am a little perplexed by. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyways, you can see on screen right now the final tap requirement. It's normally, you just reach the final stage and you're good to go. But no, this one is very weird. You need to have 3 of the listed characters on your crew in order to get it to work. So it's one of the Straw Hats or Momonosuke. And the ability that you get out of it is a 2000 base attack boost and a damage reduction based attack boost for 1 turn. So at level 5, it basically means, if you have 60% damage reduction, it's a 1.6 bonus. If you have 80% damage reduction, which is what the special from the dual unit gives you, it would be a 1.8 times boost. And, that percent damage reduction base attack boost is obviously very good because it stacks basically on top of whatever else you have, so it is free damage at the end of the day. But that component only being for this one last final tap, it is a little strange, and it does mean that you need to have that damage reduction active, which means you need to make sure you are actually using this character special on the final stage, of course. But even like the earlier versions of this final tap, like level 1 to 3, are really bad. It's basically just a base attack boost. But it's the fact that you need to have those 3 units on the team, and it's going to be kind of difficult to get that. And I will say that, in Super Boss Kizuna's, that's actually going to be easy to do because of characters such as Legend Nami and also Legend Robin. You could build a pretty good team off of that. This character, Nami and Robin, is already a really good core, getting lots of damage. But, in normal content, where you actually have to deal with a lot of gimmicks at once, I don't know if you're really going to be seeing this all that often. So the final tap is a little bizarre, I'll admit. So it's just a weird concoction of a lot of random abilities. The character is very strong, don't get me wrong, but this character, Luffy and Yamato, is not one of my favorite Sugo-Fest exclusives in the game. It's going to be a nice character to own during this anniversary period. But realistically, I feel like there are still quite a lot of Super Sugo-Fest exclusives that are 1, easier to use, and 2, have more unique specials that are going to help you out in more content. And I get that a lot of people might not like some of the things that I've said here, but it's just the way that I felt whilst using this character. This character is good, but I do feel like the other Super Sugo-Fest exclusives, they're a little bit more desirable, at least in my personal opinion. Anyways, that is going to wrap it up from me. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on Luffy and Yamato down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.